What's going on? This is Anoki the One, and I'm back with another video about how Native Americans became African Americans. So this is a very bold statement, but I got some words for you guys. I got a quote. The most effective way to destroy people is to deny and obliterate their own understanding of their history. That is by George Orwell. Okay? So, realize African American did not exist. The word did not exist until the 70s, when Jesse Jackson decided that that's what we are now. We're African Americans. That's the politically educated term for what we are. All right? Now, how does that make sense? At all. Now, somebody from Nigeria who comes to America, they're not going to call themselves African American, okay? They are Nigerian American. They're Nigerian. If their parents are from Nigeria, they're from America, they're Nigerian Americans. Now, they could be black. There are white people from Africa, all right? From South Africa. Afrikaners. A whole group. Been in Africa for thousands of years. A lot of groups of different races of all colors, shapes, and sizes have been in the continent of what we call now, because it wasn't always Africa, but what we now call Africa, have all different colors. So if a white South African comes from Africa and now is in America, they have children. What are their children? Are they African American? Are they South African American? Are they white? What the hell are they? Makes no sense, okay? The term makes no sense. Native American doesn't even make sense. Are you just American? I mean, come on. So, now, my thoughts on the transatlantic slave trade. Now, I just told you how Africa was fully populated by all different races, all different types of people. Now, what stops people if they want to get slaves? And there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense with this as well, but there's different races all over the continent of Africa, what we call Africa now. Why do they all have to be black? What if some of these people that were taken from Africa, the continent of Africa, were not black? Okay, what if some of them just brought themselves here or brought white people here? Immigrants here. Called it the transatlantic slave trade. And if they wanted to get people to come and work on the field so they could survive and on the land, think about this. If this is what they tell us. Why would you risk your life, the few lives that you have in America, to go all the way to Africa to bring some people, don't speak your language, don't speak the language of nobody around there, don't know the land of America, to be able to farm it and build stuff on it? Why would you grab them, risk your lives, waste money? If they run around and just run off, you'll never find them, okay? It doesn't make sense. Why not get the black people? Because there's plenty of black people, millions of people in general. Why not get the people that's already on the continent? Then they try to say, well, they knew the land too well. Look, somebody could be in your house. You know your house. If somebody put a gun to your head, your family's head, and say, give me your keys, give me yourself, I'm kidnapping you, I'm taking you over here, someplace that you've never been, in the dark. You're gonna go, and you're not going to be able to just find your way home. You don't know where the hell they took you. It doesn't matter if you were born in this area. You're not going to know where the hell you at. You're going to do what they say because they're going to try to kill your family. That's logical sense. That makes logical sense, right? The stuff that they're telling us doesn't make logical sense. And then if you capture people from the area that know the land, they know how to tend to the land. They know how to grow things on their land. They've been doing it for thousands and thousands of years. Okay, that makes more sense. What makes even more sense, which is more accurate to history of what they actually would do whenever they colonized, is they would get with Indian tribes. They would work with certain tribes, become friends, give them certain things, might give them guns, all this other stuff, patty cake, we cool. The French and say Choctaw. This is probably not right, but this is an example. Say the French get with the Choctaw and they say, I got your back, we cool, we gonna get these Spaniards out of here, you know what I'm saying? They trying to take your stuff. We got you though, right? Join with the Choctaw. Choctaw, French, fight Spanish and whatever tribes the Spanish are associated with, because it'd be smart to associate yourself with some natives because they know the land. They can help you feed yourself, clothe yourself, work with them. Okay, now if these two come together and defeat these people over here, you take the natives from that tribe and you enslave those natives from that tribe. You bring them back to where you are and force them as indentured servants or prisoners of war for their entire life and their children's lives and their children's lives. Now they are slaves. Okay, whatever race they are, whether they're dark, light, whatever, they're slaves. Okay, this is more accurate of what actually happened. Now, more recently, they just in the 1800s, because our grandparents, a lot of our grandparents know that their parents or their parents' parents were natives. They were a part of tribes. Almost every black person knows a Native American in their genealogy. We mixed with Native American. We're mixed with this. Why do we think that we're mixed with? Because for one, around the time when our grandparents were growing up, they had public schooling. Their parents didn't have public schooling. Literally, it's that recent. Okay? Public schooling originally was designed for control, to teach you who you are, so you can assimilate to the European culture. If you did not assimilate, you were sent to basically the Trail of Tears, where you'd be taken from your home and you'd be sent off to the Indian reservations. Okay, that's what happened. That's what happened to my great grandmother. Her family was sent off, and she and her sister were forced to be either with a black family or a white family, preferably a white family because she was more fair skinned, very long hair, right? But she didn't want to go with the white family. She went with the black family, all right? And then the black family died, so she had to go to the white family, but she was getting old enough to whatever. Okay? This is what happened. And don't know anything what happened with her parents, but that was around the time of Trail of Tears, so likely they were sent off to Trail of Tears. Okay? So now, when you try to get a job, you try to go to school, you try to do anything, you have to check a box. Okay? When you get your birth certificate, all this other stuff, you have to check a box. Well, if the box only says white, colored, mulatto, and Negro, if you're Native American, if you know you're Indian, well then what you gonna put, right? Even if you're dark skinned and you know you're Indian, you would be considered a Negro. You'd be considered colored. You'd be considered a mulatto, right? Because that's the only terms that they have. And they don't want you to be Native American, because if you're Native American, oh, well, you are owed certain rights and different things like that, and you know what your culture is, and then you might think about what language was I speaking, what tribe do I belong to, and all this other stuff. That's the Indian problem. Literally, that's in the like they have documents called the Indian problem. How are we going to solve the Indian problem, right? So that's how they solved it. Completely destroyed your understanding of your history, right? And our great grandparents didn't have this history that was told to them, but our grandparents did, but they still know what their parents were telling them, right? So understand that that is how it took me a while, Native Americans became African Americans. A lot, like majority of us, we don't know what a Native American actually looks like. There's so many different ways. There is the Asiatic Native Americans, which is the one that they promote, which is the minority, obviously, because you don't see very many of them, right? So they're the long black hair and fair skin, okay? But then if you look at the Chiefs, the Washington, D.C. Chiefs, I think that's what they call, or the Redskins. What color is my skin? What color is most black people's skin? It's reddish brown. It's a reddish tint. Literally, look at the thing. He is darker than me. Red. And the original definition of an American was copper-colored people. Look at your skin, people. Copper-colored. All right? So, like, they've constantly changed the terms of what different races are. They're continuously adding more and more. But even then, because we don't understand how history works, we think we're one thing, but it doesn't even make logical sense a lot of times, right? It doesn't make logical sense when you add up what your parents are telling you, what your parents is telling you, what you see. You literally see when you walk around, when you travel. You see black people everywhere. You see all kinds of different races. And like American black people, we have a sense of like we know something, because this is what we're taught. We think we know something. And we'll see a black person in the Caribbeans and we're like, you're black. And they're like, no, I'm Jamaican. And we're like, no, you're black. They're like, no, I'm Jamaican. I'm Jamaican, bitch. I know what I am. You know what I mean? Like, let me be native. Let me be indigenous. And what people need to understand is that they'll say that indigenous people have been wiped out and all this other stuff. But the truth is that the people who don't know who they are, a lot of times, it's because they were wiped out. They were paper genocided. All that, like Afro-Latino and Afro this, Afro that. A lot of times it's not Afro. It's not so much that you came from Africa. It's that what is indigenous to your land looks sometimes darker. Sometimes it's dark skin. Sometimes it's coily hair. Sometimes it's kinky hair. Like, a lot of race is colorism and hairism. We think that the only dark-skinned, kinky-haired people come from Africa, which that's not the case. That's literally not the case. You will find people that look like us everywhere. And in America, we need to understand that there've been us. We've been here for thousands and thousands of years. Okay? So that's just what I want to talk to you guys about. Leave some comments. Let me know what you think. Talk to your grandparents and learn your history for yourself. Do some research. Research the stuff that I've talked about. I'll see y'all later.